Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a flea market flip video. So this is a lamp that I found at a local antique mall and flea market for 10 bucks. I thought that was a really good deal, but here you can see this kind of weird brownish color to it. I originally thought that this was just dust and age on this lamp. It ended up being nicotine staining. Here you can see inside the glass globe of this, there's even what looks like there has been moisture, like water droplets and stuff inside of there. And then of course that really old power cord in the back. So we are going to be cleaning this up and rewiring it to make sure that it's safe. So the lamp was just plain by itself. I ended up having to buy a shade and a harp for it. I found those at Home. So this is the shade that I picked up here. It was only $9.99. Lampshades are super expensive for some reason. This one I thought was a really good deal though. And then the wiring kit that I picked up, I got this at Menards. I believe the wire itself was like $4, and then this little socket was about $5. But I did find there you can get the whole kit that has the harp and the wiring kit all together for only $10.97 at my local Menards. So if I ever do another lamp, I'm going to do that instead. Now getting into the cleaning, first steps first, I just took the lamp apart. Those little sockets actually screw down on. They're threaded on the bottom. So I'm just unscrewing that. And then there are 2 screws on a lamp socket for your wires that they go to. I could have just taken wire cutters and cut this wire that was in this lamp since I was going to replace it anyway. Instead, I decided just to unscrew it and take it off of there. So there you can kind of see there's a screw on this side and then one on the opposite side. And this wire may have been okay. There were no splits or anything on it, but I just wasn't really willing to risk it. It looked really old. So now that that socket is off, it is time to disassemble the rest of the lamp. And you can see how rusty and tarnished these pieces are of all the little metal pieces that were on this lamp. And this lamp, it's some kind of metal. I'm not sure exactly what kind, but we're going to be using this Brasso to clean all of the little metal parts and pieces. But the lamp itself, it looks like it was made out of like stone or porcelain maybe, but it is actually metal with some sort of coating on top of it. And it is a really heavy lamp. So this had a little nut that screwed down on the top to hold all of these little components together, and then now I'm just sliding them off one by one. The key here is to make sure that you either have a video or pictures or something so that you remember what order these pieces go back in, because there are more pieces than you would expect to this little lamp. So here's a better look at the inside of that glass globe. I don't even know how you get stuff inside of the glass on a lamp. Okay, and now here this pole just screws into the base. I could have left it on, but since I was going to be putting this in the sink and washing it, I didn't want to put that metal pole down in there and cause it to rust any more than it already was. So I just screwed it well, unscrewed it, but took it off. And then you can see the bottom of this lamp also, most lamps will have like a little felt circle or something on the bottom to keep them from scratching your tables. It was missing on this one, and I'm assuming that that is probably where the branding was on this to begin with, so I have no idea what brand this lamp was originally. All I did was take this dish brush and some Dawn dish soap and really hot water, and I scrubbed it that way first. Once I got done with scrubbing with that soap was when I realized that this was actually supposed to be white, not the off-white that I thought that it would be, and that's when I realized that it was nicotine that was all over the lamp because it was really sticky as I was washing it. So I also doused it with some rubbing alcohol. If you did not know, rubbing alcohol can take some nicotine staining off of things. And of course the glass came nice and clean with just that Dawn dish soap. Although I was not able to get all of the nicotine staining off, which you'll see here shortly on that lamp, so I did end up having to just spray paint it. Here, this is me using that Brasso. Now this has to be used if you're going to buy this in a very well ventilated area, and it smells like hair dye. If you've ever bought boxed hair dye, that strong ammonia smell is what this is like, and it will give you a headache after a while. You also are supposed to wear gloves whenever you're using it and not get it on your skin. So just be aware of that. I wouldn't do it in a small room that's all closed up. But it works really well on a lot of different metals for taking the tarnish and rust and everything off. So here you can see some of those rusted pieces are nice and silver again. And then I just did that to all of them. Now that little fork looking piece that held or went over the socket, I had to do it I think 3 different times before I got all the rust off of it. But here you can see after scrubbing a bunch, I started to kind of chip some of that coating off of the lamp, and I just wasn't able to get any more of that nicotine staining off no matter what I used on it. There you can see that paint chipping. So what I did was I went out and I found some spray paint that I thought matched the original color of it the closest. So this is an heirloom white. I got it in the satin finish, so it would be a little more flat rather than shiny, so it would look more like that original stone kind of feel to it. So this is what it looked like after 2 layers of spray paint. And it really made the details that were on there pop to have that nice bright white color on there. Some of them were kind of lost whenever it was all stained. So all I did was, once the paint dried, I put all my pieces of the lamp back together in the same order that I had taken them apart in, and then all I did was just feed this wire up through that pole to the top. And of course I put the bottom part of that new socket on there, because you have to do that before you put the regular socket where the wires go. So on your cords you have a fat prong and a skinny prong. That fat prong, or the wider prong, that is your neutral wire. The other wire is your hot wire. So the neutral wire on this one was supposed to go on the silver wire, or the silver screw, I believe. You have 2 different colored screws on your socket. There's a silver screw and a brass screw. So neutral wire, I believe, goes on the silver screw, and the hot wire went on the brass one, but the instructions for that will be on the back of your package. So here you can see on mine, the neutral wire there on the silver screw, and then the hot wire goes on the brass one. So that's what we did. But what I just showed a second ago is an underwriter's knot. You're going to make those 2 little loops to where your wire looks like a pretzel. One is going to run behind the main wire and one's going to run in front, and then you just pull them through on the sides, and that just keeps it from, if your lamp gets knocked over on your table, it's not going to pull those wires off of the screws and cause an electrical shortage. So here I'm just loosening those screws. And then I'm just bending my exposed wire ends into a little loop that I can put around those screws. And if these are not long enough for you to work with, you can use some wire strippers and strip just a little bit more of that plastic coating off of your wires. And then all you do is just tighten that down. There, I didn't get my wire quite tucked in far enough behind like I wanted, so I just unscrewed a little bit and then pinched it in tighter and then retightened that down. You just want to make sure that you have a really good tight connection on that wire so it doesn't get pulled out, because that's what's going to cause electrical shocks. So then once you've got both of those tightened, I just pulled from the bottom of my wire to get that down into the lamp and down into the socket the rest of the way. That way it sat nice and flush. And then I tested this wiring and the socket and the bulb that I had before I finished pushing this down. Now the top of that socket that you just saw me put on, they actually click into place on that base. You push it in nice and tight and you will hear it click. So before I clicked it in, I went ahead and tested to make sure that the wiring was right, because once they are clicked in, they're kind of a pain to get back apart. So there we go. This is our test. Everything is working fine. So then I went ahead and just snapped that down into place. And then here we still have this exposed bottom. I don't want it to tear up my little end tables or whatever I sit this on. I did not have any stiff felt, but I did have this really cool like remnant of suede material that I had bought from a rummage sale. So one side is this brown and it's got this sort of floral design on it. The other is just a plain black, so you could use it for either side. I think I like the brown side the best, so that's the one that I want facing out, even though you're not gonna see it. So then I just sat my lamp on top of this material and then traced around it, and I was out of E6000 glue, but I have this Beacon glass metal and more glue that I had picked up, I think also at like a rummage sale or on the clearance aisle at Walmart. It was just sitting in a drawer and it worked really, really well. There were no like lumps underneath this fabric where the glue had dried. Sometimes with hot glue, if you use it, you'll get like this weird lumpy feel to it. This actually sat nice and flush, so I would definitely be buying that glue again. So you just put a nice thin layer. Another thing that I liked about this glue, it is not at all runny. It's a nice gel glue, so it stays exactly where you put it. And then I just pressed that really good, and then I just sat the lamp up and I left that lamp sit overnight to make sure that that glue was good and dry. And then all that was left to do was to put the shade on and the finial. And this is what the finished product looks like. I think this cleaned up and turned out really, really nice. For a $10 lamp at a flea market, you can't beat it, especially with the cost of lamps at the stores. I checked when I was in At Home, and their lamps don't come with shades either. It's just the plain lamp on its own, and they wanted like $50 as a starting price on most of theirs, especially for the ones that were this size, and they were not at all as detailed. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it or got anything out of it, please consider subscribing and giving the video a thumbs up. Also, if you would like to support our channel, you can do so by buying us a coffee through this QR code or the link in the description below.